right, I'm gonna let you guys in on the secret of how I make my 96 to 2000 Civic engine raise kits, engine and trans. I sold them to a few people, and a few of those people decided to copy what I was doing and sell them, so I'll just let everybody know how to do it. And here's how you do it. It's hard to see because this thing is stock, but back in here, you can kind of see back in there where that mount sits right here. This is the trans bracket. This mount bolts to the body. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build a plate to go like this, and then you'll bolt that factory mount to this plate, and that's what's gonna raise it up. And this side, we are going to take that bolt out and that bolt out, and there's one more buried up behind there somewhere. And we're gonna take those, we're gonna build spacers for that, we're gonna build spacers for that. You delete that guy, and there's another one of these torque mounts that mount to the frame that's down there. There's no one on this side, but it's connected to, can't even see down in there, but it's connected to the bracket that holds the AC on. So what you're gonna have to do if you have AC is cut it. If you don't have AC, just pull the whole thing off and throw it in the trash can. You don't need it. So I'll show you guys now. The reason that this will not work on a EF or EG, this is EF, this is my wagon. The reason this will not work on a EF is because the EF mounts are like this. They're spot welded to the body. Same thing with the EGs. So this will not work on EFs or EGs. This is my own plate, or my own mount that I built myself. And I have some plans to be coming out with some of those for you guys that are interested. But this is why it's not gonna work, because the EK has a plate that bolts to the frame rail like this, right here. It bolts to the frame rail, and we're gonna use that because the factory mount bolts to that. So we're gonna use that to move everything that we need to move. Okay, so here's our trans mount. It sits in the car this way. This is the top. I always get confused, but that is the top indeed. So what I do is I lay this on a plate, and I outline everything, and then I move it up an inch, and then I outline everything. So I'm gonna do that and then get back with you guys. Okay, so here's what we have. I have it marked here and there. So basically we're gonna drill all these 6 holes out. This is, like I said, this is your factory mount. This is where it would have been stock. So I measure up an inch, and I'm gonna drill those holes. This, I'm gonna weld studs in here, and this will bolt down to the studs, and these will be your factory mounting locations. Now, what I've noticed is that some of these mounts are cut straight and some aren't. So like this one, you're gonna have to, you might have to shave this a little bit. There is a little gap down there. So sometimes it'll fit under there, sometimes it doesn't. But worst case, you know, just come in here with a little grinder, cut that off, hacksaw, whatever you got, it'll cut through it. And this one's real close too, so you might have to trim out a little bit in there. But other than that, I mean, you just slap the shit on and it works. So this bolts to the body, and then this is what this mount will mount to. So we're making a plate that basically gets sandwiched between the body and this to raise this mount up. And this is where your bracket that goes to your actual transmission is through here. So that's what's raising the trans side. So I'm gonna cut this out, drill everything, and then get back with you guys. All right, so this is what we got. It's basically gonna sit in there like this. The bottom holes are gonna go to the factory bolt spot, and these are what the mount goes to clearly. I still gotta, you know, clean all the edges up and stuff like that. I'm gonna clean all these up and all that. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna weld these to here to make a bunch of studs, basically, and I'm gonna cut the heads off and then grind everything down, and that will be done for the trans side. So here's what we got. That's your bracket. I try to run these guys pretty hot to keep them down low. And then I cut the heads off the back and just weld the backs down. Boom, boom. We're gonna grind all those flat. As you can see, it sits up a little bit off the metal. We want that to sit perfectly flush against that mount. Some of the other people that I've seen that have been copying my design have been keeping the nuts on. And my bad, my hand's just in there all wonky like, but they've been keeping the nuts on, and they just bolt the thing to it, but then that holds it off and messes everything up. So don't do that, please. If you're gonna do it and you're gonna do it the way I do it, at least do it this way. So all I'm gonna do now is I'm going to grind all those down flat and shaping up the edges, and then we can build the rest. This is your driver's side mount for a EK. And it basically sits up in there, something like this. These are the ones I showed you in the car, that one and that one. Then there's this third one. So basically what I do is I take this, I think it's 1 inch, if I remember right, it's 1 inch tube, thin wall. You can kind of see maybe, maybe not. Anyway, it's 1 inch thin wall tube, because you got to be able to fit a longer bolt down through there. And all I do is you're going to make 6 of these. You're going to make 1, 2, 3. And then 3 for the back. So you're gonna cut 6 pieces of 1 inch out of this. Boom, 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 1 inch, 6 of them. And then that's it. This will sit up on the spacers. You run longer bolts through it. The back will sit up on the spacers. You run longer bolts through it. And then this is your trans side. That's the most important side. So here's your final product. Like I said, your thing bolts onto here. This plate bolts on the chassis. These 3 go into the engine mount. And these 3 go under the rear trans mount. Hopefully that sums it up for you guys. If you guys need any more information, contact me on Instagram at PopOpsGarage, and I'll help you guys out where I can. See ya.